Did you speak with Medhi Hasan after the debate?
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die?
You should.
That's a streamer joke, mate. That's not a cable network joke. Oh no. Clearly what Joe Rogan is getting at is like, what was it like to be president and like issue orders and hire and fire people and rule the country? And Trump, at least as far as I listen, Trump cannot compute. He can't understand the question. It's unbelievable. He can't like give it like what the Dave Smith is triggered. Dave Smith, I have never seen such a submissive, breedable little in my entire life. I think he was triggered right at the start of the show. I don't shake hands with these people anymore, but I did shake Medhi Hasan's hand because as much as I disagree with him, I don't know if he is a threat to my country. When I refused to shake Dave Smith's hand, he crumbled. He was like, hey, and I was like, no, I hate you. And he's like, what? And I was like, I feel like you're destroying my country. People like you are destroying my country. And he's like, I guess I feel the same way about you. Not very professional. And then he stumbles over to his chair like a drunken grandmother. Did you speak with Medhi Hasan after the debate? A little bit. It was nice to speak with him. God, being on the same team as him, I need me, him, and Jenk, okay, to be. Oh my God, that was brutal, and it felt good. I wanted to be more harsh, but I think I was already being kind of mean. And Medhi was doing a good job too, so I don't want to like get in his way. God, because Sarah Palin is like one of the people that have like rotted my mom's brains the most. Like my mom was a huge Palin fan. So the fact that I get to sit next to Palin and just eviscerate her felt so good. God. What are the best responses you've heard for why Republicans were or are against the bipartisan border bill? Obviously because they want the border issue for the election, but have you ever heard a reasonable opinion for why they'd be so staunchly against it? Nope. Usually just requires them to misquote the bill and say things like, it opens the border up or all that bullshit or whatever. So how was Palin after the debate? No clue. When the debate was over, I bounced. I walked the out immediately because I didn't give a about any of those people. But I caught up with Medhi downstairs afterwards and we chatted for a little bit. Felt good. He showed me that he had like, he showed me the Palin quote and he's like, she said I lied about this, but I didn't. I remember everything. And I'm like, holy shit, you do.
Called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
People will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die?
You should.
That's a stream joke, mate. That's a streamer joke, mate. That's not a cable network joke. Oh no.
No,
did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
You said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Hamas.
Guys, let me
said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what?
Hold on.
Guys.
Excuse me. The beeper attacks weren't even against Hamas. They were against Hezbollah. Who is this guy? Does he even know the right terrorist groups? At least get the terrorist groups right. Oh no.
I said Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against
Ryan,
me?
Ryan.
That's disgusting.
That is completely.
Then I apologize.
Good job, CNN. Let's have first block say the Muslim guy should be blown
I
up
apologize.
on
I
TV.
apologize.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
say
I thought you said
accused
Hamas.
him.
I
You didn't think I said Hamas.
No,
I
you
said I
didn't.
supported Palestinian rights.
Yes, I did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny
Palestinians,
is
To be fair, you could make the beeper joke about a Hamas person, maybe. Yeah. That's J.D. Vance's friend.
Rudy
Really?
Giuliani said this yesterday,
because-
so you're a great guest to
Listen.
be here
all
to
right,
defend
I
Rudy
told
Giuliani.
myself
Give me
I
one-
wasn't going to
give me-
entertain
give me one
nonsense
second.
today, and so at this point,
This is what we're in
I
now.
can't
This
do
is America in
Here's
2024.
what I will say.
Forget the
Here's what
racism.
That's right.
It's I should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't
That's-
say that. You
You
should
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your
I
fake
did not
ignorance.
say you should
Guys,
die.
Why did you say
guys,
with my
give me-
beeper
give me
go
a-
off?
What did you mean?
He said he hopes your beeper doesn't go
What
off.
did you mean by the beeper?
So what
I
did
said-
you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
No,
No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least
Sorry.
have the guts to
I'm
support your
so
racist
sorry.
comment.
Hang on.
I'm so sorry.
Let her bring it back.
This
Let her bring
is
it back.
this is
Hang on.
why. This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us
and
Nazis, but I'm going to
outrageous.
threaten the brown guy as a
This is
terrorist
why.
and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp
apologize,
handler.
but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say
That's
it to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said yesterday. And I'm offended that the former president and potentially future president would allow it and go for 12 hours and not say, I don't care. Because you know what? When Kamala Harris put out statements about switching up opinions, it wasn't good enough for Republicans.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you said it.
Why don't you take this back a little?
Okay. Sorry for this, man, but a 10-minute overview J6 video would be great and hopefully wouldn't take too long. I don't think J6 is the mega break voters, but as well, how many people don't know about it and it'd be cool. The problem is you can't 10-minute overview it. You've got to explain so much civics in order to like get people to understand what's going on. Like I said, when I was first demoing my script to the editor guy that I'm working with now, I think a week or two ago, it was like 4 hours in when he realized like, wait a second, hold on, wait, this is super fucked. Like there's just so much civics explaining. It's very frustrating. No one knows about the elector scheme. Yeah, but the issue what I found when explaining the elector scheme to people is what happens is if you're a Democrat or if you're basically leaning that way and I explain the elector scheme to you, it sounds really fucked. But if you're a Republican or you're voting Trump and I explain the elector scheme to you, you basically say, well, I mean, he really thought that he'd won, so it makes sense why he would do it. So even though the elector scheme is crazy and insane, it doesn't matter because they think he's just trying to like explore another legal option. Anyway, it's just, it's super, super, super frustrating. What's the strongest single piece of evidence that speaks to or proves Trump's inciting of the J6 violence, trying to argue with people, and the one time he said peaceful is all they need? You can't argue with anybody like that. There's no way to do it because these people will have one peaceful word from Donald Trump and they will say that that's enough to say the whole thing was peaceful. But when it comes to Democrats speaking, they'll take one word from a Democrat and say that means that they wanted violence. There's no way. You have to go back to the information and media environment they're in before and try to take it apart piece by piece, like at a very foundational level. Because by the time they are saying shit like that, Trump said peaceful. Like in my mind, the strongest argument that I've given is Donald Trump called all of them, but conservatives will actually, the thing is conservatives are biting more bullets than I would have ever expected them to in a shorter amount of time. I thought we would have needed like decades to get to this point. The problem is that, like, I think I've had two different conservatives say this to me on stream, I think, where I'll say, okay, Trump said people needed to go to the Capitol on January 6th, right? Yes. For a historic event, there would be like nothing ever before, right? Yes. They all showed up at the Ellipse and listened to him speak, right? Yes. He said they needed to fight like hell. They needed to take their country back. They needed to do all these things, right? Yes. Then he said to march down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol, right? Yes. There was a riot there that delayed the certification of the vote, right? Yes. Was that a coincidence? And they go, yes. That, like, so at that, like this, it's such an impossibly stupid, yeah. The way that you walked Tom Bilyeu through some key Gen 6 related stuff was very nice, and him stumbling through all of it was so disheartening to watch. The thing is that, like, I know Tom decently. Like, we chat a bit off stream. There are like two people in the world that I've like gotten advice from for business related stuff because it's so hard to find people that I can look up to for business stuff. And Tom is an incredibly smart guy. He's very smart. He's got a good thought process. He's very logical. So like when I'm having so many like foundational disagreements with him, it is incredibly frustrating. But I saw in that conversation, I didn't realize how deep down like the libertarian gold standard rabbit hole we were in. And I'm like, fuck me, dude. There's no way. Like we'd have to go through so much econ to get through this. And it's like, and I see the different worlds that we live in. So it's like, fuck me. I'm gonna use the restroom 1 sec. Somebody pasted a comment before in chat that I didn't get a chance to respond to, but I paste them. Hi, Destiny. I combo with a Trump supporter, and as usual, one of their issues is the immigration problem. How do you get through someone who believes the issue is the illegal part when the real issue is the processing part? I already explained that the migrants are seeking legal ways to stay in the country since in the law it allows it. He responded that if true, he doesn't like that law. Funny enough, he's getting his talking points from Charlie Kirk. But the Republicans don't talk about changing the law, right? That's the issue. Why is it every time Tom Bilyeu says human flourishing, it's basically the same as some woo-woo crystal girl just saying nothing? He said it several times. He's probably borrowing from Sam Harris there. Human flourishing just means we're all like healthy, happy, working, like safe, have shelter, fun, stuff like that. Just as a quick thing so that you guys can understand this, but there's no point in learning this because you're never going to be able to explain this to a Trumple because they don't understand basic econ and they don't understand... It's just too much to get through, but just so that you understand it, okay? When people say this shit, okay? The idea that the U.S. needs to bring back manufacturing so that we're a stronger country is stupid when they're talking about bringing back base level manufacturing, okay? In the United States, we only have so much of a population, okay? And a lot of the stuff that we do is like high value add, meaning like final stage of assembly, okay? So, for instance, let's say that I were to imagine a Tesla automobile, okay? Look at my beautiful car. Let's say that I were to imagine a car, all right? Every stage when you go through this, okay, you're refining, you're adding value to, you're assembling, you're doing something that's making this like a more valuable thing, okay? Anybody can go into the earth and mine ore, all right? A lot of people can probably smelt, okay, ore, all right? A lot of people can probably create like alloys and more refined material, okay? Not as many people maybe can create like base components and whatever, you know, like simple components. Not as many people, much fewer people can create like complicated, okay? If it's cuxing, go to Kick. I don't know why it does this sometimes on YouTube. There's no problem on my end. It's on YouTube's end, so figure it out. A lot of people, or some very few people can make these like advanced components. And then at the very, very final stage, okay, you have this taking all of these things and putting them together in an incredibly sophisticated end product. Generally, the further you go through this supply, through this chain of production, the further that you go through this chain, the more value that you're adding per unit of labor hour, and the more specialized the work is, and the fewer people that can do it. All right. We're employed at a very, very high level in the United States right now, as in like our unemployment is very low. Right? It's been below 5% forever, all right? If we're manufacturing this stuff here, if you want us to bring back this kind of manufacturing or this kind of manufacturing or this kind of manufacturing, right? I'll get the couch today, Dan. If you want to produce this stuff, fine, but we have to stop making this stuff. We have to stop making this stuff here, okay? Why the would you want to go back to doing this base level shit when we make better shit? Why would you ever want to do that? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So this is a nonsense approach to manufacturing. Also, everybody knows this. For instance, when Elon Musk wanted to make Teslas, he didn't say who's mining material out of the earth and making steel or whatever, right? He said, who has the best environment where I can have specialized enough workers to do the final stage of assembly or manufacturing for my cars? And he came to the United States of America, all right? He didn't go to where they create steel. He didn't go to where they mine something out of the earth, right? It's just, yeah, so this is dumb. I'm buying it and shipping it to, I'll get it, Dan, give me 1 hour and I'll have it ordered, okay? But anyway, yeah, so number one, okay, and then number two, is it not possible to do both? Obviously not at the same time, but would it hurt to produce some parts? No, you can't do both. You only have so many workers. How could we do both? Is everybody gonna start working a second or third job to do base level manufacturing? You can't do it. It's impossible. You can't do everything, right? Also, this is an issue that is contradictory that they bring up. There's two things that people keep complaining about, all right? They complain that illegal immigrants are coming to the United States, or immigrants in general are coming to the United States, and they're complaining that these immigrants are coming, and as a result, they're stealing jobs, or they're working too much, or whatever. They're hurting whatever workers. But then in the next sentence, in the next breath, they'll say, we can't compete with Mexico because they can pay their workers less because those workers are stealing our factories, right? If that's the case, that they have so many workers that they're stealing factory investments from us, why are we blocking the workers from moving here? If their workers are so good that they can work in these factories and us over, why wouldn't we just have them come to the United States and build the factories here and then have the workers here? It doesn't make any sense. You're saying that group of workers over there south of the border, they're able to build factories down there and all those people are working in those factories and it's fucking us over. And it's like, okay, well, damn, how can we bring those workers to the United States? No, we don't want those workers here. I thought you said that those workers are stealing our factories over the border. Yes. But you want to block all of them from coming here? What if they just came here and then we could just build the factories here and employ them here? Wouldn't that make more sense? Like, their whole approach to immigration is just nonsense, okay? It's just fucking nonsense. However, I'm here for it. I'm here for it because if Trump wins, I will be spending the next 4 years, okay, ruthlessly shitting down the throats of poor Republicans, okay? And I will do it, and I will enjoy it. I will publish my tax returns, okay, every year, just so they can see how unbelievably they are, okay? Just so that I want to do it. I will enjoy it, and they can see all the money that Donald Trump is saving. I think last year, I paid like $600,000 or $700,000 in income taxes, and then next year, if Trump does some taxes, I only have to pay $400,000. Oh, the idea that I will be saving more on my income taxes than 5x with these poor, broke, meth-addled, fucking, whatever meth lab infested. We use meth twice there. Conservatives in rural bumfuck nowhere are making. I'll take it. Fuck it. I will take it. We call that a win-win. Okay, we do call that a win-win. But what about the service sector? How much value is added in that per hour work? Service sector jobs, I'm pretty sure, are like some of the highest value added jobs in the world, are service sector jobs. I don't think it's as clear cut as you said. How is it not as clear cut as you said? Didn't Trump cut top line tax rates? Trump tax cuts. Didn't he cut all the federal brackets? Basically all of them? Did he not? Am I crazy? Am I making this up? Not the tax cuts. I mean the effect on wages by immigration. Sorry. Okay. How much do you think the anti-immigration shit is ultimately just racism? Not much. I think most of it is like a weird nationalism, protectivism, like poor understanding of economics and globalism. It would be my guess. More that than the racist stuff. I agree overall, but we can't really import poor textile workers and Mexican factory workers because their cheap cost of living is what makes them competitive. They can move to cheap cost of living U.S. places. And the cost of living in Mexico would maybe go up then. I don't know. I thought the argument is that they are stealing the jobs by exploiting their workers more in sweatshops in order to make a cheaper product. You can say that if you want, but then again, you're also running into another contradiction. If you're telling me that the only reason why their manufacturing is competitive with ours, and this is probably part of it, is that they can pay their workers so much less, then when you bring that manufacturing to the United States, that means that you are going to be spending more for all of those products. Every single thing that you buy in the United States will be more expensive because the manufacturing will cost more. Be honest about it. Be honest about it. Noted war criminal. So he was convicted of, when you strip away the Adderall-fueled motor mouthing and constant interruptions, all this guy has is the dumbest arguments. Sure, Obama, LBJ, Nixon, Kissinger, none of them can possibly be war criminals because they didn't have trials, ? That's actually what you are reduced to arguing, ? You know who else didn't have trials? The American citizens Obama murdered. Is this why you never say Trump incited an insurrection? Oh yeah, I forgot. You don't actually believe anything you say. You are for dumb people. This is why you're not respected. Well, this and some personal stuff. Okay. Quote tweet. I wish you were half as confrontational in real life as you are on Twitter, instead of just sinking into the chair like a scared, lost little boy. Frowny face. Dude, somebody told me this. This can't be real. I hope to God this isn't real. Somebody told me that the reason why Elon does all the jumping shit is because he's trying to jump and make an X, because that's what he's obsessed with. Like X, SpaceX, like that can't possibly be it, right? That can't possibly be it, right? Please, God. Oh, I saw this. Yeah, it was this tweet. I just figured out why he's always doing this fuck-ass jump. He's trying to make an X because he thinks it's brand or whatever. Also, I'm sorry. We will watch like the first maybe 20 minutes. This was so fucking pathetic. Joe is trying to ask Trump, I think he tries to redirect. I listened, I think, up to 4 times. And then I had to turn this off. I couldn't listen to more than 30 minutes. I was going to listen to this to prepare for the Piers stuff, and I couldn't do. After 30 or 40 minutes, I had to turn this off. Joe is trying to ask Trump 4 times, what was it like governing in your first day in office, right? He's clearly what Joe Rogan is getting at is what was it like to be president and issue orders and hire and fire people and rule the country? And Trump at least as far as I listen, Trump cannot compute. He can't understand the question. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand what is being asked of him. And it was so unbelievably cringe listening to Trump misunderstand this question over and over and over again.
We're rolling. Good to see you, sir. Here we go. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it because it could get copyright strike, and we don't want to get the episode systematically. When you see those same people in the past.
Oh, this is stupid. He's like, people were so nice to you, and then they were mean to you. Like, yeah, people have different standards being a friend or the president, which this whole part is stupid. But
there's a lot of people that were longtime Democrats. Like, if you're running for president, you don't really know what it's going to be like when you actually get into office.
Okay, here you go.
What did you think
so
it was going to be like?
in office or when I decided to run?
So when you got in.
When I was in. So when I was in and won and was in the White House, essentially.
Yes.
Well, first of all, it was very surreal. It's very interesting. When I got shot, it wasn't surreal. That should have been surreal. When I was laying on the ground, I knew exactly what was going on. I knew exactly where I was hit. They were saying you were hit all over the place because there was so much blood from the ear. You would know that better than anyone. When they get the ear torn up,
ears bleed a lot. Yeah.
Bleed. Anyway, so and I was thinking the other day, when that happened, I really knew where I was. I knew exactly what happened. I said I wasn't hit anywhere. With the presidency, it was a very surreal experience, okay?
Like, what's day one like? You win?
Yeah.
You get inaugurated? Holy shit, I'm the president.
Yeah, that's what happened. So I'm driving down Pennsylvania Avenue. I just built a building on Pennsylvania, the hotel, the old post office it was. We called it Trump National Hotel. And we sold it to the Waldorf Astoria. And it was a wonderful thing. But I'm driving down, I'm passing the hotel. You've never seen so many motorcycles, police, military. It was a major thing. I got off, really the first time I used Air Force One, landed. And we're coming down, and it was very beautiful. I mean, it was incredible. And we're going down Pennsylvania Avenue in the opposite direction. Normally you're used to going one way, and all of a sudden you're going the other way. The street was loaded up, and I wanted to go out, and I wanted to wave to everybody, but that wasn't smart. They can, a little bit dangerous, right? I mean, when you watch, like, Kennedy and some others, right? But I really felt, I don't know, the love was so crazy. And so I did get out of the car for a brief, just for a very short walk. I thought it was very important to do. And Melania got out with a beautiful dress on that became sort of a staple. It was, people loved it. And
oh my God.
Darren and we're walking down the street, but where it really got amazing, we get to the White House, and now it's a little bit before dark, beautiful, and we went up to the president's quarters. They call them the presidential quarters, and I'm standing in this beautiful hallway. It's funny, nobody ever talks about the White House as being beautiful inside. You think it's going to be, everything's going to be all metal doors and stuff. It's not. It's so beautiful. I made my money largely on luxury. The hallway is like 25 feet wide. The ceiling heights are, it's so beautiful. But I was standing there, and I said to the guys, I want to see the Lincoln bedroom. I had never seen the Lincoln bedroom. I'd heard about the Lincoln bedroom. And I was standing with my wife. I said, do you believe it? This is the Lincoln bedroom. I mean, it was like, it was amazing. Because look, if you love the country, but here you are, the Lincoln bedroom. And the bed, he was very tall. He was 6'6", which then would be like Barron.
Right.
Would be like Barron Trump. He's 6'9". But 6'6", he was very tall. Then on top of that,
There it is.
He wore that. Yeah, there it is. It's a long bed, elongated bed. And because people were shorter than you see some of the chairs are very, very low to the ground, actually. But he had the long bed. And they had, you had the Gettysburg Address right under that. You can't see it here, but right there, the original version of the Gettysburg Address. And this is the original. And I'm looking, and I just looked around. I said, do you believe this? Because I was never first of all, even if you were a politician, but I was never a politician. I sort of just started, right? And all of a sudden I'm standing in the White House. And it was very, very surreal. That room was so beautiful to me, much more beautiful than it actually is. To me, when I looked at the bed, and the bed you could see was a little bit longer, had to be a little bit longer. He lost his son, and the two of them suffered from melancholia. They didn't call it depression. They called it melancholia, and they suffered from it. He was a very depressed guy, and she was a very depressed woman, more so than him. And on top of that, they lost their son, whose name was Ted. And it was just seeing it in the little pictures, a little tiny picture. I mean, you can't see the details there. Little tiny, everything the way it was, a little tiny picture of Ted, who he lost, and it was devastating. And he was, look, he was in a war. He was having a hard time because he couldn't beat Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee won like 13 battles in a row, and he was getting like a phobia, like a fighter. Not about the fight stuff, but like I went to a UFC fight, and it was a champion who was 14-1 about a year ago. You would know the names. 14-1, and the only guy he lost to was this one guy, but the guy that he was fighting was like almost just an average fighter. Lost numerous times, but he beat this one guy. So I said, okay,
I really don't know who you're talking about.
I will figure it out.
Okay.
But about a year ago. But the point is that he lost. He wasn't nearly the fighter, but the one who was not nearly the fighter had beaten. He's the only guy that beat the champ like 5 years before. And I said, I'll take the guy that won the other fight. And that's what happened. He beat him a second time.
Does anybody know who Trump was talking about here? Is this even a real thing? Does anybody have any idea that?
Sometimes
Lincoln,
psychological advantages.
Yeah, what is this crazy thing?
I like how Joe goes along with it. Sometimes psychological, blah, blah, blah. I like how Joe goes along with it, even though Joe probably should know better, right? That that like Joe Rogan is like an actual fighter. It's like Trump saying like, yeah, this guy was, you know, it was a UFC fight and one guy was 200 pounds and the other guy was 100 pounds. But the 100-pound guy, you know, he knew Aikido and he believed in his chi and then he won. And Joe's like, yeah, sometimes, you know, having like a strong mind can help you win fights. Like, it's just like so fucking retarded. Like, I bet he would even go along with this, but whatever, dude. Like, glaze away, bro. Glaze away.
Lincoln had I don't know, I've never read this. I heard it from people in the White House who really understand what was going on with the whole life of the White House. But Lincoln had the yips about, in a way, as the golfers would say. He had a phobia about Robert E. Lee. He said, I can't beat Robert, because Robert E. Lee won many battles in a row. He was just beating the hell out of him. You know, they tried to get Robert E. Lee to be on the North, but he said, no, I have to be with my state. You know, the state was his whole thing, and he went to the South. And he was, I've had generals tell me, we have some great generals, the real generals, not the ones you see on television, the ones that beat ISIS with me. We defeated ISIS in record time. It was supposed to take years, and we did it in a matter of weeks. These are great generals. These are tough guys. These are not woke guys. But their favorite general, in terms of genius, was Robert E. Lee.
In terms of strategy, you mean?
Strategy, strategically. He took a war that should have been over in a few days, and it was, you know, years of hell, a vicious war. And so here I am standing there, and again, I had never really done this before. You know, I ran a number of months before I won. I probably, I guess if you figured max it out, it would be a year, something like that. So I had never run for office. And I did well. I mean, I went into debates. We had 18 people, including me, and then slowly but surely they started to disappear. We had debates, good debates.
Everyone's aware of all this stuff. But what I want to get to is like, what was...
Okay, so this is the first redirect, okay? We got it, okay. The White House is cool. But I'm asking, like, how do you govern? Like, what's that like? So this is redirect number 1, okay? So he's asked the question once. This is the first redirect.
The experience once you got inside.
It was
like,
just
what did you think it was going to be like in terms of like your ability to govern?
Yeah.
Like, this is your first experience governing anything. You've never been a governor. You've never been a mayor.
Private stuff.
Business.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden you're inside the White House.
The biggest thing was just that first moment of being in this hallowed. It was really a hallowed place to me. It was surreal. It was beyond. To me, that was the experience. It was a surreal experience. And then with time, that wears off. With time, it becomes, you know, your place where you stay. And I was doing a lot of. I had 2 things that I really focused on: governing the country and survival. Because from the moment I won, before I got to office, all of a sudden, they came down. I mean, nobody has ever been treated that way. And you see that. I mean, you see where in the Washington Post very early on, they said, well, now the impeachment stuff starts. And it did. I mean, it literally started from the beginning. So I had survival and run the nation. I had a combination. Most people don't have the survival. They get in.
What did you expect, though, in terms of like...
Okay, second redirect, okay? Second redirect, okay? Trump, what the was it like actually trying to govern? What was it like actually trying to issue orders, hire fire, actually be the president?
I had a combination. Most people don't have the survival. They get in.
What did you expect, though, in terms of, like, once you got inside, you had to appoint all these people? Yeah. Like, how many appointments did you have to make?
Well, you have actually 10,000 appointments. Now, they're different. You know, you have big ones, and then they appoint 100 people and 200 people. But the president really is involved with approximately 10,000 appointments. So you'll appoint a Secretary of State, and he or she will appoint a lot of people. So it's a lot. But in terms of major ones, you probably have like 100, but they're big ones. Treasury, state, military.
And how did you know who to appoint?
Well, I didn't. I had no experience. You have to understand.
So
I was there 17 times in Washington.
It's kind of a third redirect, right? He's trying to get like a specific anything out of him. Like, just give me like a specific example of like what the you're talking about or doing. Or
And I never stayed over. According to the press, which I think is probably right. Over the years, I was only there 17 times. I never stayed over. So now I'm sitting there, I'm saying, this place is gorgeous, but, you know, I don't know anybody. It's like you know, you go to certain areas, and other areas, they may be great. Washington was great. Washington's not so great right now. We got to fix it. We got to make it better. A very dangerous place, very badly maintained place. We're going to make it great. We're going to make it better. We're going to bring it back. But I wasn't a Washington guy. I was a New York guy. I was a New York builder, and I built buildings in New York, and I knew that whole world, but I didn't know the Washington world too well. And all of a sudden, you're supposed to be appointing top people. So
what did you think it was going to be like? First, like, did you have any
Is this the third or fourth redirect now?
ideas of what it was going to be like, and what was different?
Well, I was always involved in politics, but usually from the standpoint of a donor. I was a donor. You know, I was a big donor. I gave money to politicians. I enjoyed.
It's unbelievable. He can't like give it like what the. Were you even this is the strongest evidence, by the way, for a shadow puppet government. This is Trump's interview here. I don't think he ever answered this question. I'm pretty sure I turned this off before. Did you not do anything? Like, what is actually entailed in the job of being the president? Like, do you use Outlook and then you like shoot off emails to people to hire? Is it like an Excel spreadsheet? Do you pick up the phone? Do you have people that come in that you issue orders to? Do you like communicate with like cans and you speak into them and the string carries the message to the department of does the work, or like what?
Both, really, pretty much both. I actually pictures of Ronald Reagan and me when I was very young.
You were a Democrat until like what year?
I was a Democrat I could get you the exact, but the early 90s, I switched over eventually. Actually, they had a reform party. I was thinking about doing that for a little while, but then fortunately I didn't because it's very hard. You know, it's a two-party system. And anytime you hear third party, I know you like RFK Jr. and so do I. He's a fantastic guy.
I do, but I thought that
whole
being
thing
an
is very
independent
tough.
was nonsense.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work because even if you do great, you're not going to get Congress. In other words,
Right.
you need now to say, okay, now I'll get half of Congress. They're never going to vote for you. So even if you got there, which is very hard, and I know how you feel about Bobby, and I feel the same way, and he's now with us. But it doesn't. It's pure and simple. It's a two-party system.
Right.
And somebody, I won't mention his name, but somebody spent $250 million trying to get the nomination as a Reform Party candidate or whatever, and they got just nowhere. You get eaten. You just get eaten. The system eats you alive.
Right.
So it was really somebody that not only was new to Washington but was new to politics. So in the office of the presidency, over the years, all those presidents, you've had 92% were politicians and 8% were generals. General Eisenhower, General Washington, right? General George Washington, you had generals. So it's 8% no admirals, 8% generals, and 92% politicians. You know, they're politicians and they go on. So they never had a business guy, or they never had a guy that wasn't elected to an office. They were all like Ronald Reagan he was a movie actor, and then but he became the governor of California for, I think, 2 terms, and then he ran. So you never had a thing like this. But in terms of me, and sometimes I'd use it as an excuse, and I don't like having excuses actually, but I use it as an excuse. I had to rely on people that I respected or liked, but that I didn't know that well because I didn't know them that well. Some of those people I campaigned against because, when you have 18 people, we had mostly politicians running in the election, running in the primaries, and they got knocked out one by one, but I got to like some of them. Some of them I didn't like at all, and I don't like them now. And I'd rely on them, and I'd rely on other people. So all of a sudden, people would come in, I'd like to recommend so-and-so to be Secretary of State, and I'd have 3-4 people recommend. One thing I can tell you, everybody wants the position.
Of course.
No, but sometimes I'll hear, a lot of people don't want to work with Trump because Trump is tough to work with, et cetera. Let me tell you, everybody wants to be any one of these positions. They die for it.
Of course.
Now, they don't want to be known. I mean, there's a particular guy in New York, primarily, very big, very successful, very strong, very political, although he's not a politician. He'd give anything to be Secretary of State, but if they ask him, no, I don't think I would do it. But in the meantime, begging for it, okay, begging. They all,
believe you.
everybody wants it.
But
no matter what you do. But it's very dangerous to pick somebody outside of a politician because a politician's been basically vetted for years.
Right.
You pick a business guy.
I think Joe, was he going to try to redirect for a 4th or 5th time?
And they've never been vetted at all, and they're the head of a big company or something, but they've never been vetted. You know nothing about his personal life. You know nothing about where he's been. When you put him in, it's a little bit dangerous because all of a sudden they get checked up and you hear things that you're saying, wow, this is not going to work out too well. So it's very dangerous. Picking people that are outside of politics is somewhat dangerous.
So you're kind of stuck in a position where you have to pick established people. And then the problem with established people is established people are already indoctrinated into the system.
And they're stiffs in many cases.
Stiffs.
They're survivors. I find that,
What do you mean by stiffs? When you say stiffs?
A stiff, they don't have nothing. They have nothing. Or they're smart and survive. One little thing. So there was a congressman years before I ran, and I was very close to him. And I needed a license on something, and he was very important in getting the license. But it was a little bit controversial, the license, this particular thing that was being licensed. But I was close to this guy and helped him and everything else. And I went to him, I said, I'd like to have your help. And he said, let me take a look at it. I said, oh, that's not too good, but I really hope you can help. Anyway, he tapped me along for a long period of time and ultimately didn't do it. And I said, you are a stiff. You could have done this thing so easy, et cetera. But it was controversial. He was in Congress for many years, like 28 years. And, there's a reason when somebody's there for 28 years, you got to be sort of smart.
Right.
You have
A
all the
survivor.
scandals. And I realized he was a survivor.
And so they never do anything controversial. They never take any chances or speak their opinion. It's outside of the...
Yeah. And yet I don't disrespect him for it.
So
I actually respected the guy more in a certain way. I said,
because he did survive.
You know what? He's been there like for 28 years, and he made it through. A lot of people don't make it through.
It's a good way for non-exceptional people to survive.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is.
So you're in there. You have 10,000 appointments you have to make. So you're getting advice from people. And at one point in time, did you have a moment in time where you realized, these are bad choices? Like some of these people I shouldn't have had in there.
Oh, yeah. I think... So the one question that you'll ask me, that I think you'll ask me, that people seem to ask, and I always come up with the same answer. The one mistake, because I had a lot of success, great economy, great everything. Everything was great. The military, we rebuilt it, biggest tax cuts in history, all this stuff. We had a great presidency. 3 Supreme Court justices. Most people get none. You pick them young. This way they're there for 50 years, right? So, even if a president is there for 8 years, oftentimes they never have a chance. I had 3. It was sort of the luck.
I can't understand, there are some people that I listen to when they speak, and they're just, it's so much substance. And then there are other people that speak, and they just say nothing. They just speak so much, and they just say, Trump has just said nothing. You're just nothing of substance here. What am I, if this was a job interview, he would be flunked, right? You're not giving me any examples. You're not grounding anything out. You're you won't name any names. You're speaking in these vague generalities the entire time. You're not actually saying anything.
Of the draw. But I will say that it always comes back to the same answer. The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people, or
bad people. I picked people I shouldn't have picked, bad people.
People that were just
people
bad,
that were into the
you got bad advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're reading about him a little bit today. A guy like Kelly, who was a bully, but a weak person. You know more about bullies than anybody probably around because you deal in a certain sport
Okay, so we got to name it, Lee. So Kelly was bad because he was a bully?
where the bullies are exposed very quickly.
Yeah.
But he's bad. Bolton was an idiot, but he was great for me because I'd go in with a guy like a John Bolton. You know John Bolton. A friend of mine called me up. I was picking Bolton, and he's a very smart guy. His name is Phil Ruffin. He's a very rich guy from Las Vegas. He's a great card player. He doesn't play cards, but he's a great player. He's just a natural. Got poker sense, right? Good old poker sense. And Phil Ruffin is a very, very wise kind of a guy, and one of the richest people around, and has had great success and understands people. So. It was in that I was picking Bolton, or I picked Bolton. He called up. He said, "Don't pick him. Why? He's a bad guy." Now, he wasn't in politics at all. He's in various businesses. He said, "He's a bad guy. It always works out bad with that guy." And I said, "Oh, man, I wish you told me this 2 weeks ago. I already hired him. He's here." And he was right. But he was good in a certain way. He's a nut job. And every time I had to deal with a country, when they saw this whack job standing behind me, they said, "Oh, man, Trump's going to go to war with us." He was with Bush when they went stupidly into
it's so obvious that this guy is a retard, right? Anybody that's not retarded listens to Trump speak. It's like, okay, excuse me. I'm sorry, but you're retarded. Who actually runs the shit in your business? Or can I speak to your COO or something? Or the guy that's actually doing operations? Because you clearly have no idea what the is going on with anything. You're mindless. You're clueless.
The Middle East. They should have never done it. I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people. And it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know.
You were literally trying. Donald Trump literally faked being his own publicist on a phone call. What do you mean you weren't trying to get more publicity? He literally would make phone calls to people talking about himself and pretending it wasn't him.
Real amazing story of Donald Trump's old spokesman, as the Washington Post headline writes. Maybe that it's been such an open secret for so long, it's hard to believe that anyone is still questioning it.
What's your name again? John Miller. And you work with government? Yes, that's correct.
It was back in the 1980s, and when the flashy New York real estate mogul needed to get a bit of news out, the newspaper reports it was common knowledge among New York reporters that Trump just assumed a different name and handled the media calls himself. Like this call from reporter Sue Carswell at People magazine concerning Trump's breakup with girlfriend Marla Maples.
What kind of comment is coming from either your agency or from Donald? Well, it's just that he really decided that he wasn't, he didn't want to make the commitment. He didn't want to make a commitment. He really thought it was too soon. He's coming out of a marriage and he's starting to do tremendously well financially. And he just thought it was too soon to make any commitment to anybody. So what is going to happen with her? Is she being asked to leave, or she's going to be allowed to stay? Well, he treats everybody well, and you don't know him, but he's a. No, I have met him. Have you met him? Yes. He's a good guy, and he's not going to hurt anybody. He treated his wife well, and he will treat Marla well. And he's somebody that has a lot of options, and frankly, he gets called by everybody. He gets called by everybody in the book in terms of women.
If that John.
What do you mean you don't try to make publicity about yourself?
So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I can definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
You said a lot of wild shit, and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this bullshit, pre-prepared politician lingo. And
Is Joe retarded, Destiny? No, he just wants to stay on Trump's good side. Everybody wants to be on Trump's good side. They all want those big rewards if he is elected president. It's unbelievable, dude. What's the website for voting? Oh, vote.gov?
Immigration is a problem right now. In fact, I'm 100%
That wasn't my question. I said, do you think it's right that between 7 and 10 million people
the reality
have
is,
come in illegally?
Here are two facts that nobody will ever
is it
talk
right?
about. I'll tell you. Here are two facts that we do not have a problem right now with illegal immigration in the United States. We have a problem with asylum seeking. Okay, that's the number one. That's a huge thing. But number two, if this was such a huge problem, why were Republicans so content to pull the plug on it when Donald Trump said, "I need to leave"?
Okay. I like Destiny, but that is brain dead. Asylum seeking is a symptom of illegal immigration. You can't say that you have one without the other. It's
Okay, he has no idea what he's talking about. Why do I care about this? I'm good. Explain why it isn't true. the asylum seeking process is a legal process. That's the issue. So when people talk about how we need to build a bigger wall or we need to follow the law or block illegal immigrants, the issue right now with asylum seeking isn't that they're doing anything illegal. It's that the legal process itself probably needs to be changed. That's the issue. What's the actual reason why asylum seeking hit such highs under Biden? Is it post-COVID backlog? I think it's because people realize there's a loophole, and now since there's so many people doing it, you can get a ticket to just stay in the U.S. while you wait for your court date.
L's of the week out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Okay. W part. Who wants to go first?
You go first. Why don't you go first?
L's of the week. I have been viciously hunted down by haters.
El Bozo.
Yeah, El Bozo. They are smearing me nonstop. It's just...
Why do we call them illegal immigrants if they're following a legal process? Because conservatives call them illegals. Because conservative calls everybody that's brown is an illegal immigrant to a conservative. That's it. That's it. Even people here under TPS, the temporary protected status, people will call them illegal immigrants. It's just retarded. It's because conservatives are fucking retards. That's it.
Relentless. They're just trying to get me banned off the platform. It's not working so far, but it doesn't really matter because it still bothers me. But not to like a pretty significant degree. It's all good. W's of the week. I have a LA Times. I have a Los Angeles Times profile coming out, so that's cool. Those of the week out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. How long do people usually wait for court from the date of the asylum application? My understanding is it's past like a year right now. It's like a long wait right now.